All right. I had to change things up a little bit as far as Aspen goes. Just let me tell you the story behind it. All right. I created a folder that's got a ton of Regents information on it. A ton of Regents information. I created that folder under my Geometry AB students first, before I went to you guys first. And I thought I could just copy it over to the honors website, copy and paste it over, drag it over, but I can't. And this thing took me over an hour to build. And honestly, I wasn't going to do another hour for honors geometry. I knew there had to be an easier way instead of me just building this all again and not wasting, but using another hour of my time. So here's what I did instead. You guys have to sign up for the Geometry AB website, okay, and go there from now on to do any Regents work. So you guys should have page directory, hopefully on your main page. Page directory. And then hopefully you'll be able to add Geometry AB, which looks like this one right here. Because I gave you guys access yesterday to be able to add it. So everyone can add it, hopefully. Yes? Okay, so I'll give you a second. Go ahead and add it, and then I'll show you all about the Regent stuff. Because you're only going to use this page for Regent stuff. That's it. Okay, so once you've added it, you can go ahead and open it up. And there's only one folder you are worried about, and that is Regents Review. Okay, so just open up that folder so I can show you exactly what's in there and how you can use it to your benefit. All right, before I get to the folders underneath, let's get to these 4 files. Regents Review Times, if you lose it, it's there. That's the sheet I handed you when you came in. Same thing with the checklist. It's there if you lose it. Cold hard facts. It's there if you lose it. All good. All right. If you need extra practice, I put a document on there. That's not a typo. That's 315 Regents review questions and answers. Okay. Basically every single Regents question that's been asked, jumbled up, shuffled up. All right. That's what that document is. Everyone all good? All right. Let's go to the folders now. Construction videos. There's a link to a YouTube site that has myself and Miss Venezia on there doing every single construction we've done this year. So if you are sitting there tonight and you have to do a median to a triangle and you forget, here's where you can go. Okay, here's where you can go. All right. Next folder, extra exams that are not part of the old Regents exams. I found 3 of them and 2 that are online. So there's 5 extra exams. All right, that have nothing to do with old Regents exams, but are good practice. We all good there? And then the final folder, which is pretty much where you're going to live during the Regents review, that's got every single Regents that has been offered. Okay? So for example, let's go to the one we're on right now, June 2018. It'll have a copy of the June 2018 exam on there in case you lose it. I will let you know this. I am not copying all these exams for you. That's way, way too much paper to waste. All right, I will give you a few of them hard copy, but the rest you can go on there and download them yourself. Because I have 80 students taking the Geometry Regents exam in a couple weeks. I'm not going to copy 80 26-page Regents exams for you guys. It's just too much. Okay, so you can go there and download them right there onto your laptop. What's up, Emma? Whatever goes for you, I'm fine with. Okay, whatever goes for you. Okay, all right, now, so there's an extra copy of every Regents exam under the folder. What else is under the folder? There's a link to get the answers with work. So last night, you guys had 31 through 33, correct? So here's where you're going to go from now on to start checking your answers. Okay, so you go last night, you go to question 31 through 33, there's 31. You check your answers, it's got work with it. Okay, that's where you go from now on to check your answers. All good there. Now I get it. Sometimes this work isn't good enough for you. Maybe you still don't have a good understanding of how to do the problem. That's why I have a folder underneath called Video Solutions. This will take you to whatever problem you need, and there will be a gentleman there speaking about the problem. Okay? So you had 31 through 33. You got to get through the ads as usual with YouTube. Yep. So get through the ad. You can fast forward. Or lady, excuse me. So there's 31 you had to do last night. There will be somebody on there. Because, guys, I'm not going to be with you 24/7. You know that. I'm not going to be there holding your hand at home saying this is how you do the problem. And I really don't want you to wait for me to come in and do the problem in front of everybody. All right, so it's you either have answers with work already shown or now you have video solutions. And that's for every single Regents exam. I put that in every folder. All right, so you got everything. And if you want to do the quick math, excuse me, 17 practice exams. I think there's 12 of these and the 5 extra ones I've given you. You have everything I have. It's really what you make of it now. Okay, it's what you make of it. All right, so everyone understand how Aspen works. Okay, do not ask me to do a homework problem because you don't know if your answer is correct or not. I'm not about that anymore. Don't ask me to do a homework problem because you didn't do it. We're not about that life anymore. All right, you asked me to do a homework problem because your answer did not match what was on the answer key and you're still confused why not. Okay? Do not waste everybody's time in here anymore. All right, do not ask me a question because you didn't do it, and don't ask me a question because you don't know if the answer is correct or not. All right, we all good? Okay, so there's Aspen. I'd recommend you bring your laptop every day with you. All right, because we may have time at the end of classes to start whatever assignment I've suggested. All right, we all good? All right, good deal. So you guys did not know this was around, so let's just quickly go over the answers to last night's homework so you can check those and then maybe ask me any questions that you want. So here you go. So number 31 was 434 cubic inches. 434 cubic inches. And again, I'm not checking these. Not checking these. But don't, on the other hand, don't come and whine to me. Why did I get a 75, but I averaged an 89 all year long? Look at the work you did to put into it. I am fully behind the notion of the amount of effort you put into this Regents will be reflected in your overall grade. All right? Please do not get in the assumption, I've been a 90 student all year in geometry, so I'm going to get a 90 on the Regents. No, the Regents doesn't care who you are. Okay, they don't care who you are. Okay, they don't care your grades from the previous year, all right, or what you did during the year. Okay, they don't care. All right, it's the work you start putting in from now on, all right, in the next 2 weeks. That's going to be reflected of your grade. If you want to know my honest opinion, you're in honors, should be getting an 85 or above. Mastery, should be getting an 85 or above if you're in honors. That's my feeling. Okay, class averages the last couple years have been anywhere from an 88 to a 92. Okay. Here's one challenge for everybody. This version of the geometry exam has been given for 4 years now. 4 years, 100 I've gotten. So there's a challenge out to everybody. 100 I've gotten, and that was last year I got my first one. Okay. We'll talk about it. Okay, but that's if you want to shoot for the stars there you go. Be in the rare company of a 100 because it's hard to get. It is hard to get. All right, here's why. If you have visions of getting into the 90s, you're going to have to kill it on multiple choice. Kill it on multiple choice. Because I'll tell you, multiple choice is 24 questions. There's only 35 on the entire, 37 on the entire exam. So if you start thinking about it, 2 points apiece, you get 5 multiple choice wrong, which isn't that bad out of 24, right? But now you're 10 points down. Okay, so multiple choice is where you make your money. All right, multiple choice is where we're going to make our money if you want to get in that upper echelon grade range. Okay. You guys have any questions about the Regents itself or anything? Because I'm just going to go nuts now with all these problems. All right. Here's how a typical day is going to go. We have 8 review days, including today. Here's how a typical class will go. You'll come in. I'll ask you if you want me to show any of the homework because you didn't understand why your answer was wrong. And then I'll say, hey, do you guys have any topics you want me to review? Please start getting a little specific. Don't okay. Could you go over that quadrilateral unit? No, I won't. Okay, considering it took us over a month to do. All right, I'm not going to just be specific, please. And then if after that there's no other questions, I have some questions I'm going to throw up on the board and say, hey, we haven't done this in a while. What do we remember from it? Okay. So there's question 31, 474. Okay, 474. 434, excuse me, 434. That should have been no issues if you tried it. It was this unit we just ended with the spheres. Next one with the triangle. You had to show 1, it was isosceles, and show 2, why it was an equilateral. Hopefully you did distance or Pythagorean theorem. You should have gotten radical 26 for the 2 congruent sides. The non-congruent side was the square root of 32. Piece of advice. This problem did not say simplest radical form, so don't do it. Okay, because if you try to be a superstar and a hero, and you try to break down the square root of 32 and do it incorrect, doesn't matter, we're going to take off for it. Okay, we're going to take off for it. So if it doesn't say leave your answer in simplest radical form, guys, my suggestion, don't be a hero, just leave it in radical. Just leave the number underneath the radical and stay. All right, Meg, you had a comment?
Yeah. So how many, for this specific problem, do you want us to have 3 steps or more than that?
Whatever gets the job done.
Because
I'm not gonna limit it. Whatever gets the job done. Write as much as possible. That's what I'm going to leave it as. Okay, you can never go write as much as you think you need. Okay, write as much as possible. Okay, everyone good on 32? You had to say why it was isosceles and why it was not equilateral. Okay, you couldn't just stop at the isosceles. There was a second part to that question. And then finally 33. I assigned these 3 because it was a wide variety of topics, because 33 involves SOHCAHTOA, sine, cosine, and tangent. Or you could have used law of sines. I don't know how many of you might have broken law of sines out. That's fair game. And the distance from the campsite to the tower was 1,503 feet. Okay? A couple different ways you could have gotten there. Okay, let's talk any of those 3 before I get into the ones we're doing here today. Vincent. Okay, you got to tell me what the issue was, because I don't know if I want to start fresh or not. What was the issue with 33 with you? Okay, tell me what you did. There you go. Tell me what you did here so I can correct it.
So I started with the cosine of 72.
Equals adjacent. So you found TF.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did cosine of 72 equals 400 over x, y, z, whatever variable here that found TF. Okay, got it. Go ahead. Keep going.
And then with that, I did the sine of 55
I'm listening.
equals
What you got for TF?
yeah.
Okay, here's the problem. TFC. You're trying to do sine, cosine, tangent. It's not a right triangle. You can only use those in right triangles. So instead, what I probably would have done is, okay, you found TF. Maybe use Pythagorean theorem or maybe tangent to find TS. Why do I want to use TS versus TF? Because TS is a side in what type of triangle here? A right triangle. So maybe instead of finding TF, find TS instead. Okay? And I don't want to go nuts here, but it is an option, Vincent. You found TF. What you could have done is found the other angles in this triangle that wasn't a right triangle and done, I'll call it y. Y over the sine of this angle equals the side you found over the sine of 55. Do the law of sines. That's fine. Okay, so you could have still gotten away with it, but not using sine, cosine, tangent, because it only can be in a right triangle. Anybody else? We're all good on those 3? Because I'm not the best wording, but I'm going to smack you in the face right now with the next problem. We're going right to the proof. Part 4. Let's go. We're going to do this together. I'll let you set up your statements and reasons right now. Kids have tried it in the past and got busted for it. As far as points goes, you cannot just draw your arrow or straight line. Okay, you can do that now, that's fine, but on the Regents exam, write out all the givens, please, and write the word given next to it, not a big G, the actual word given. Okay, kids tried to pull that a couple years ago. They ended up taking a point off. All right, basically for laziness. Okay, guys. Oh, hi, Sinead. What's up? Go ahead. Any abbreviations I've used during the course of the year is fair game. You start using your own, I can't help you. All right, that's a good point that Sinead brings up. Please realize I am not allowed to touch your exam other than to collect it at the end. I don't grade it, nothing to do with it. Okay, so if you're sitting there in the exam and thinking, oh, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about, I'll never see it. I'm not allowed to grade it. Okay, so keep that in mind, please. Okay, keep that in mind. But yes, any abbreviations I've done during the year, fair game. You start doing your own there, that's risky business. All right, risky business. There are 4 parts to the Regents exam. As you know, the first part is multiple choice. Part 4, the last one, will be one and only one question, and it's going to be a proof. I have no idea what it's going to be. I don't see it until you come in. All right, so what do you think it's going to be this? What about that? It could be anything. Okay, could be anything. This was the one on last June. This is what the kids had to do, the honors kids last year. This is a tough one. A lot of steps. Okay, a lot of steps in here, you're going to see. Okay, but be prepared for a proof. Last question on the exam. All right, be prepared for a proof. Maggie, go. It could be a coordinate geometry one where you use distance, midpoint, slope. Yeah. Honestly, that'd be awesome if it was that one. All right. It's been that one in the past. It's been, proving triangles congruent. It could be similarity. It could be indirect. We got to go over all those. Okay. Could be any type of proof. All right. So here we go. We are given ABCD as a parallelogram. So that full quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So any of the properties apply to ABCD. But that's not the one we're making into a rectangle. We're going to try to make the inner one, BEDF, into a rectangle. All right, so let's go over. There are 3 ways you can prove a quadrilateral is a rectangle. 3 ways. First way, right off the bat, you can show 4 right angles. In a coordinate geometry proof, probably okay. Probably not in a statements reasons, though. To show, okay, you could probably go easy here, right? Those 2, but then you're going to maybe struggle with getting those 2 to be a right angle. Okay, so showing all 4 right angles in a statements reasons, pretty unlikely. The other 2 ways, you have to start by showing it's a parallelogram first. You got to show me the figures of parallelogram first, and then anybody remember what's got to be attached to it. A parallelogram with 1 right angle. Don't go crazy. I only need 1 right angle. Or I could show it's a parallelogram with, it doesn't apply here. I won't be able to do this way here. Congruent diagonals. So those are the 3 main ways to prove a figure is a rectangle. So if you've been listening to what I've been saying here, there are no diagonals. This is almost virtually impossible unless it's a graphing one. So here's where we're going here. Show me it's a parallelogram, and then it's got, well, the right angle part will be easy, right? Because I already have perpendicular lines, so that'll be easy. Can you get it to be a parallelogram? Can you get it to be a parallelogram? And remember, the outside one is already a parallelogram. So I can use all the properties here. All right, anywhere we want to, Maggie, you want to start us?
We can start by proving BE and FD parallel, but we have to start with BEC and A.
Before I say the parts are parallel, I got to tell you the whole things are parallel. Okay, so the first one we'll put in here is BC, parallel to AD. And this is why we review. Anybody remember the reason? Parallelogram. And again, here's going back to Sinead's question. You can write 11ogram, that's fine. Parallelogram implies opposite sides parallel. All right, next step. Now say the shorter part, the segments of those, BE, is parallel to FD. Anybody remember that theorem? Parts of parallel lines are parallel. Okay, so I've gotten these two parallel. So let me ask you this now. What else do I need to make it a parallelogram? I could go two different ways right now. What else would I need that would make it a parallelogram? Orion, one thing. Prove these parallel sides also congruent. Or I could, Maggie, if I prove these congruent, won't be a parallel. Prove them parallel. So those are my choices right now. I can prove these congruent or these parallel. And probably one way will work and one way I can't do. That's the way these are set up. All right. No both, but probably only one way will work. Notice what they gave me off to the left and right here. Triangles. All right. They specifically made triangles for me, probably to prove them what? Congruent. How would that help me in this process of proving a parallelogram? If you knew the triangle, if we could get the triangles congruent, where would I go to prove either these congruent or these parallel? So say the triangles are congruent. We'll get there. How would you use that to show these congruent or these parallel now? Go ahead, Orion. Let's go. EC, you mean? Okay, I could prove these congruent by CP/CTC and then subtract them from these opposite sides to get BE and FD. So does everyone see what we're going to do here? All right, but you got to get the triangles congruent. Got to get the triangles congruent, one of the 5 methods. Give me something. Angles, sides, angles. Vincent? Okay, BA congruent to CD. Parallelogram implies now opposite sides congruent. All right, Vincent got you guys a pair of sides. Anybody want to get more angles or more sides here? What do we got, Katie? Good, nice job. Angle A and angle C. And that's the property that says, yep, parallelogram implies opposite angles congruent. Regents is brutal with you, brutal. You think the triangles are congruent, but they're not yet. They're not. Isn't that nice that they put those in there? They want you to make you think it's already in the proof. Is that in the givens that those are right angles? No, that's not in the proof yet. It's just in your diagram. We don't grade diagrams, we grade statements and reasons columns. All right, so I need to put those are right angles and then show me they're congruent. We're fine. Get to it. So angle BFA. Oh boy. Uh-oh, what happened to the... Okay. Good thing I got to back up. BFA and DEC are right angles. It's been a while since we've done this, huh? What's the reason? Why they're right angles? I didn't say they're congruent yet. Perpendicular lines form right angles. Then say they're congruent. This was a long one. That's why it's on the part 4, 6 points. Yep. Right angles are congruent. All right, what method am I going to use to show the triangles are congruent? What's my method? Angle, angle, side. So triangle BFA is congruent to triangle BFA congruent to DEC. And during the review, what I like to do is admit to some of the stuff I've been keeping from you all year long. You heard me. I've been keeping stuff from you, some secrets. Secret number 1. When I used to show you proving triangles congruent, I was always like, you got to write them in the correct order. Make sure. I never look for that on your test. Could care less. Same thing on the Regents. We don't care if you write them in the correct order. Okay. Just wanted to show how corresponding parts matched up. All right. Secret number 1. There you go. Never look for it on your test or quiz. Great. Just make sure you had the correct letters and the correct reason. All right, moving on. Sorry. All right, why do we prove the triangle is congruent again? To prove AF congruent to CE. Oh, there it is. Let it roll. Let it roll off the tongue. CPC TC. Okay, keep talking to me. Why did I want those pieces congruent versus the others? Because now you're going to use what with that one? Oh, not yet. You can only subtract equal quantities. I have these equal, but what you're going to subtract them from aren't equal yet. What else do we need to say in the proof? BC congruent to AD. Can we just make our lives a little easier and just go back to step 4 and write that in? It's going to have the same reason. BC congruent to AD. I feel like there's just disappointment in the room after I told you that I don't look at your putting your letters in the correct order. Sorry. And then here we go. Do your subtraction substitution. BC minus EC. Is equal to AD minus AF by subtraction. And then we got to do a little substitution to say BE is congruent to FD. Substitution, the good old days. All right, now correct wording. How do we say BEDF is a parallelogram? How are you going to tell me why it's a parallelogram? And the wording's got to be good here. It just can't be, first of all, it can't just be opposite sides. Because that could mean this pair, both pair. It's got to be one pair that we just had, one pair of opposite sides, congruent and parallel, imply a parallelogram. Okay, we should have 2 more steps here. We should, or maybe just one if we can add it into another one, but. Okay, it's a parallelogram. Now you got to show it's got a right angle, which is probably the easier part. So you guys pick. Do you want BFD to be your right angle, or do you want BED to be your right angle? You pick. It's still going to be perpendicular lines form right angles. Okay, you can write that in if you wanted to. What step we write that in? Step 6, if you want to add those two angles in there, that's up to you. So angle BED is a right angle. And then finally, we can say it's a rectangle. Whew, 14, huh? Okay, hold on. We're going to finish this strong here. What's your reason? Not because it's got one right angle. Parallelogram with one right angle implies rectangle. Okay, guys, again, on your assignment sheet, I've suggested problems to get you start getting prepared in the next 2 weeks. It's your decision. You guys have all the resources on Aspen to go to now to check your work. Up to you.